everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here.
Trust me, I'm aware.
Most of you have been watching my show for quite some time, so you obviously know about the kind of moviegoer that I am. That even though I do see a lot of great movies, sometimes when it comes to those great movies, you can actually divide them up. There are the amazing, fun, entertaining movies, whether they may have something that they are lacking, it makes up for it in a different way, and I just have a really good time. But then you've got those real masterpieces, and even when you take a look at some of those masterpieces, you can also break that down. There are the true Oscar-worthy, blow-your-mind movies, but then there are the piece of art, and that's one of the movies that I want to talk about today. A Most Violent Year. I was interested in seeing this movie because of the fact that it takes place in New York City in 1981. Now, why is that so important? Well, I was born in New York City in 1981. Apparently, even though some of the biggest topics in the news were the birth of MTV, one of the things that I did not know was, statistically, 1981 was the worst year for New York City in terms of crimes like murder and rape. So I was very curious to see a movie that takes place in my hometown, the year that I'm born, and a side of it that I never would have imagined, and it was a very interesting side. Story is about a guy named Abel Morales and his wife Anna. Abel Morales is an oil company owner, and he's a guy that really took his business from the ground up and tried to truly seize the American dream by doing what he possibly could to be the best. What he didn't know was there was so much going on around him in regards to things like greed, hostility, and sabotage through all directions that there are all of these authority figures breathing down his neck. And he's always looked at himself as an honest businessman who just does what he has to do to get the job done. From getting his product to the people, to training his salespeople to make sure that they are the ones that the average customer will choose to buy his product. He ends up finding out some very interesting things all around him, and at the same time, in the heat of everything that's going on with the hostilities and the crimes of New York City, while there are so many people that are just trying to adapt with all of the changes and the danger, he still feels that he just needs to stick with the status quo and just be the businessman that he has to be. This movie has so much right with it. I am so upset over the fact that this movie got no Oscar nominations whatsoever. I also feel that the way that the Motion Picture Association of America handles the Oscars is all wrong, because there are all of these movies that have to make this final push for the Oscars in late December, so they usually get a limited release on Christmas week or the week right before New Year's. Because of that, when all the movies have come out throughout that entire next year, everything that came out in the first quarter, nobody pays attention to it, but they should, because A Most Violent Year is a movie that came out on December 31st, and it's been in theaters for almost a month, and no one's talking about it. This movie is wonderful. It is something that reminds me of the movies of old. Like, the last time I talked about a movie like that, it was Lincoln. While it may be a completely different subject and a more modern-day story, the story moves well, the acting moves well, you are interested in the characters, you're interested in how everything unfolds, because the brilliance of A Most Violent Year is, you see all these things happening, but you never truly get an answer as to why. And the main character is also trying to figure out why. And when the answer is finally given to you, it's a true, not necessarily a letdown, but a mind-blowing thing. And how the movie ends is even more mind-blowing, even when the answer to the mystery is solved. The cast is incredible. Oscar Isaac, Jessica Chastain. You probably know Jessica Chastain. Chances are you may not know who Oscar Isaac is, but I guarantee you, when Star Wars Episode 7 hits theaters, you will know who Oscar Isaac is. But until then, I have to say that if you want to see an amazing performance from him, see A Most Violent Year. The supporting cast is also great. Albert Brooks, a guy who I haven't seen in movies probably since the Simpsons movie. Great job. Albert Brooks is amazing at what he does. And then, of course, you also have these other two supporting characters who don't have much of a role. Elias Gable and David Oyelowo. Now, David Oyelowo, you know him from Selma, and I will talk more about him when I review Selma, because he doesn't have much of a role in this movie, but his role as the district attorney is still a very good role. I would have to say that this is a movie that you may miss, but if you can get your hands on it when it comes out on DVD or on Netflix or on demand, I have to say that this is a movie that you must see if you really want to see a true piece of artwork in current American cinema. And I am going to give this movie 3.5 out of 4. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. If you have seen A Most Violent Year, I would love for you to put your comments in the box below and let me know if you agree or disagree about my take. So I'll see you in the next one, and actions speak louder than words.